Welcome back, everyone, to today's Explainer. I am genuinely so excited to get into this one with you. Today, we're unpacking a story that completely rewrites the rules on facing impossible odds. We're talking about a moment where absolute, rock-solid faith collides with the physical limits of our world and literally shatters them. It's an incredible look at patience, hidden miracles, and a quiet voice in the dark that ended up echoing through eternity. An old man with white hair and weak bones made a secret prayer that changed the course of history. To sit with that for a second, it's such a profound visual, right? It just pulls you right into the quiet mystery and the deep emotional core of what we're looking at today. Because, this isn't a story about massive clashing armies or booming voices. It starts with the faintest of whispers. Okay, let's dive right into this and set the stage with Section 1. The devoted servant. To really grasp the sheer magnitude of this story, we've got to understand the man at the center of it all. Prophet Zakariya was a dedicated leader in the noble line of Jacob. Situated right there in the sacred sanctuary of Jerusalem, he spent his days and his nights in absolute devotion to Allah. He wasn't just, a regular worshiper. He was a guide. His whole life was dedicated to calling his people toward the worship of the one Lord. His spiritual strength was absolutely immense. He was literally the anchor for his entire community. But, and here's the catch, historical texts paint a pretty stark picture of his physical state. It says, he was so advanced in years that his bones were weak and his hair was white. Look at that contrast. On one side, you have this towering spiritual giant, right? A prophet of God. And on the other, you have a physical body that is undeniably, failing. He's frail, he's aging, and time is heavily taking its toll. It's this beautiful yet kind of stark juxtaposition between a fading physical vessel and a brilliantly vital faith. And that physical reality brings us right to Section 2, longing for an heir. Because despite his lifelong dedication, Zakariya carried this very deep, very private sorrow, a longing he kept tucked away. We're looking at a huge clash here, physical impossibility versus spiritual certainty. See, Zakariya was in his advanced age, and his wife had been unable to have children for many, many years. To the eyes of the world, to the laws of biology, that door was firmly shut. Having a child was totally impossible. But here's the thing. Despite the biology, Zakariya's spiritual certainty didn't flinch. He never stopped trusting in the most merciful. He absolutely never lost hope. And we have to understand, this wasn't just your standard, everyday desire to have a family. It was a quiet longing for a righteous heir to carry on the prophetic legacy. Zakariya was looking at his people, he was looking at all the sacred work he'd poured his life into, and he desperately wanted a successor. He was praying for someone who'd be pleasing to Allah, someone God-fearing to pick up the baton and continue that vital mission of calling people to the truth. Now we hit Section 3, the miracles of Maryam. And this is where the real catalyst of our story enters. Enter Maryam, a deeply righteous girl who was placed in Zakariya's care within the inner sanctuary. As her caretaker, Zakariya would visit her, and he brilliantly illustrates something that just completely defied logic. He'd find her with fresh fruits that were entirely out of season. I mean, we're talking summer fruits sitting there in the dead of winter, or winter fruits in the middle of a blazing summer. It was a direct, literal challenge to natural limits. It was divine provision from Allah provided without reckoning. And when Zakariya naturally asked her, how she was getting these provisions, her answer was just profound. She said, "It is from Allah. Allah provides for whomever He will without reckoning." Wow. That exact moment, those specific words, they shifted everything for Zakariya. It was like a light bulb went off. He had this profound realization. If Allah can provide fruits entirely out of their natural season, then surely, absolutely, Allah can grant life out of its natural season. Which leads us directly into Section 4, the secret prayer. This right here is the intimate, highly emotional turning point of our explainer. Inspired by these breathtaking miracles he was seeing with Maryam, Zakariya's hopes were completely revived. His spirit absolutely soared. Standing right there in the sanctuary, he turned to his Lord with a profoundly emotional, secret prayer, a dua. He didn't shout it from the mountaintops. No, it was this intimate, vulnerable plea from a frail man whose trust in his Creator was absolute. And here are the beautiful words of that secret whisper. "My Lord, give me good offspring from you. You are the one who hears the supplication." In uttering these words, Zakariya acknowledged a fundamental, universe-altering truth. For the King of all kings, biological impossibilities simply do not exist. And what happens next?
is just incredible. Let's move to section 5, the divine response. Because that quiet whisper, it set the infinite mercy of Allah right into motion.
Watch how fast this timeline unfolds. While Zakariya was still standing there actively praying in the sanctuary, the response came. The angels actually called out to him, delivering this miraculous news he was going to have a son. And not just any son, but one named Yahya, a name that had literally never been given to anyone before him.
Now, what's really interesting about this moment is this single number, 3. Totally overwhelmed by this reality, Zakariya asked his Lord for a sign, and that sign was anchored by an incredible instruction, 3 days of absolute silence. Your sign is that you will not speak to people for 3 days except by gestures. Just think about the poetic irony of this for a second. Allah made his articulate tongue, the tongue of a prophet, a vocal leader, a guide, completely unable to speak. It's a stunning contrast, right? He experiences this total physical silence right at the exact moment his quietest, most secret prayer is ultimately answered. This brings us to our final section, a legacy of purity. The sign was given, the promise was fulfilled, and Allah demonstrated his infinite, boundless power. The result was exactly what Zakariya had prayed for. The child, Yahya, was born, and he grew up to embody incredible traits. He was endowed with wisdom even as a young child. He possessed immense compassion and purity. He was deeply dutiful and obedient to his parents, never arrogant or rebellious. He truly became a light and a guide for his people. He was the exact righteous successor that the old man with white hair had asked for in the dark. So, what does this all mean for us? What's the takeaway? This story stands as an eternal symbol of hope. It proves, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that no prayer is ever too late when it's whispered with true faith. Sometimes, as we learn from the sources we analyze today, our painful situations, our long delays, those seemingly impossible barriers, they're simply tests. They are designed to draw us closer to the Creator, not signs that we've been abandoned. Which leaves me with one final thought for you today. What secret prayer are you waiting to whisper? If a frail old man in an empty sanctuary can ask for the impossible and change history, what is holding you back from making your own impossible request? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep seeking, and I'll see you next time.